Hey everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, you are flashing that brand new, beautiful, inked Mystique with the Kirby crackle in the center of the screen. Cozy, what are some of your favorite cards to copy with Mystique?
All of them. Anytime I could play her, man. Iron Man and Darkhawk. Listen, I've been playing them a bit more. I've been copying freaking Quinjets. I just want to play her out on the board. Dude, the fact that I didn't have a split ready for this episode, because I just want to now get my Alex magic and try to just open splits with you, because there's something there. All right, I'm gonna probably not open any split I really want unless it's live with you on the Snapchat, bud.
Oh, buddy, that still comes down to like being one of the greatest moments in Snapchat history. You straight up Kirby crackling in, like, it's just wild. I can't believe that happened live. Like, haters will say it's photoshopped, but we were there live, my friends. It's all real.
I've never felt more like a nerd, and I loved it. We were like, oh my god, blue crack. Like, we were in for it, man. And I that's how I felt. And I still look at it with the same eye. Look at her, man. She still gets me excited.
It's still crazy, and I still am not convinced how I would approach upgrading this card, if ever. I think you have to leave it. I think it stays.
It's because the indecisiveness, I'm just leaving it. I don't know yet. Maybe one day they're going to release the whole border choosing thing, release that, put it on the roadmap. But speaking of the roadmap, we got some good stuff to talk about today, yeah?
Yeah, we do. We're going to be talking about our favorite cards this season, the ones that carried us to Infinite and beyond. We're going to be talking about the new roadmap and what's on it and what's been left off it. We're also going to be talking about the cards that are on the rise and on the fall in Marvel Snap. We have a crazy, crazy season upcoming, and we just kind of gave our insight as to, you know, what the season's going to look like on your side of the Snapchat, Cozy. So why don't you give us a quick breakdown of what we talked about on your channel?
Yeah, so we talked about Dakin and Destroy and just the new meta that's about to happen, guys. Super excited about that brand new card and all the cards coming out. We broke down our early thoughts on those. And then we also talked about the OTA, the crazy Captain Marvel balance that we had, and just all the wildness that came with the OTA change. So it was some good talk. The Dakin breakdown was fantastic, and today starts the new season, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped. I mean, it's always a wonderful time to be a Marvel Snap player, but on the start of a new season pass rewards to unlock, new cards to experiment with, a new ladder to climb. I mean, I'm just absolutely excited, and I'm excited for this next topic as well. And we're going to be talking about our favorite cards of this past season. July was an interesting season, Cozy. Phoenix Force underwhelmed, so we had to rely on the collection itself to get us through the season, get us to Infinite, get us those Infinity borders and whatnot. And so there were some cards that really stood out amongst the rest. So, you know, in no particular order, we're going to go through some of the cards that we think are some absolute shiners from this past season. Cozy, I'll let you launch us off here with some of your favorite cards of this past season.
I thought we were doing one cost and going up. We do this every time. I swear to God.
Really? We're doing one cost and going up? Are we? I can do that if you want to do one cost going up.
I could quote us every time we have this. We're like, we're going to do random order. And then we're like, well, I thought we'd do it. And I had it from one cost. Listen. I'm going to spring something on you and tell me if you like this. I was looking through the cost, right? And I think there's always one obvious one, and then there's one like, this is kind of a hot pick, right?
Sure.
I want to ask you, because you know what I mean? We're always like, well, like, how to ignore Zabu and 2 cost. So starting in 1 cost, give me your, like, definite, this is just the meta pick, and then this is like my sleeper kind of Alex favorite card pick this season.
I would say Kitty Pryde's probably the card of July.
Okay, so that was mine too. We both have the same favorite 1 cost. How do you not, right? Kitty Pryde, even with the rework. What's your Alex pick?
My Alex pick would have been the original rendition of Spider-Ham.
Yep.
But that's a cheat. Honestly, I still think Iceman's still amazing. I think it completely destroyed Bounce. It was a great counter card. Why are you getting all worked up?
That was mine. You went 2 for 2 on it. You know what I was going to say? Because of the move of Spider-Ham, Iceman just feels good again to play in a sense. But not only that, there's so many combo decks, so you still feel like now, Alex, that when you hit that one off, or when I have an Iceman played against me, I'm like, damn, that really took me off of my curve and what I'm trying to do, right? So, hey, we haven't matched each other in a while on this, so yeah, I'm proud of us, man. Look at us having the same 1 cost.
Yeah, and a reminder that, I mean, obviously we don't share these in advance. We do this kind of on the fly, because I didn't even realize we were doing the 1 through 6. You're right. Now that you mention it, we do this every time, every single month. You're like, Alex, it's supposed to be every cost, and I never show up with it. Why do okay, next season, guys, I promise, hold me to it. Next season, I'm showing up proper with the 1 through 6 costs picked, ready to go.
Let's get to 2 costs, buddy. What's your meta choice for like really like just a big shaker in the 2 costs?
It has to be Zabu. Zabu has been absolutely the card that's carried. But I got to throw some shade at Zabu. I feel like I need your opinion. I need your opinion because I know there's different areas of opinion here. I think that when I'm playing Zabu, especially in the current decks, I'm playing Chavez too because Zabu, not pulling Zabu on 2 feels like a lose condition in a mirror match when they have it on 2. It's just Zabu coming out on 2 feels so important right now.
Right now, especially because what it is like because you're getting the 3s and there's now that like Marvel's out there's so many more 3 plays that are like feel more important. And then like if you pull him on 3, you just feel awkward. And then your 4s are now 4s. And then you're like, well, what do I do here? Do I even play him or do I just play the 4 on 4? Right? Like there's so many things that messes up the flow. And so I do agree. He feels much more imperative to play on 2. But he is kind of the shiner. I mean, my kind of MVP is Jeff. Again, he's the X23 of this season of like, who do you replace him with? Nobody. Right? Nobody until September, the end of this month, he'll be able to be for free, or not free, but he'll be in the spotlight cash, right? Jeff to me is just the card that's in every single deck, and when I'm building mine, I'm like, I'm gonna put him in because why would I not? The meta doesn't help his play because you need to have him because of the lockdown stuff. Captain Marvel maybe brought him down a touch on those lockdown locations, but yeah. Now as far as kind of my more off pick, I get it. It's a brand new card. Man, I don't know if you have dipped into Mirage, but she's awesome. I love, man, getting a Zabu from the opponent and getting like a 2/4 Zabu. I underestimated the +2 power. I like it a lot, man. I'm finding a lot of uses for a 4/8 Iron Lad, and it just, maybe it's because of the other decks out there right now. But in bounce decks, particularly in Devil Dino, Mirage gets my pick.
I like Mirage. My experimentation with Mirage has been very positive. It feels wild in like Quinjet, Moon Girl style decks, especially with Devil Dinosaur. Like it just builds itself, right? And I often find myself with that extra 2 power. Like if they play a card, I'm just like, 2 extra power often makes many cards feel more attractive, especially when they're Quinjetted as well, right? So I'm often playing what she pulls.
Dude, I did a play where it was Machine World, and I found a way to essentially play a demon in there, and I was like, oh, I'm giving him a demon. But then I played Mirage, and I got a 1/8 back. Like, there's ways to... Now, that's astronomical location luck and stuff, but she works, man, and she gives you a nice curve because it's typically a low card, too, so you know what you can play on 3 if you didn't get good curve. The power's there. You know, you have things like there's just a lot of cards with value. Mysterio, you know, it's awesome. Mirage is a good card. What is your kind of Alex pick for 2 cost?
I mean, for 2 cost, one card that over the last week or 2 I've been trying to experiment with a little more because I feel like it's good and it completely fell off the meta is going to be Lizard. And the reason why I say this is because you're playing a lot more Enchantress now. So if they don't have ongoings and like you can just play the Enchantress on top of the Lizard. Shuri, Red Skull, Sauron decks are coming back. Zero, we talked about Zero being an amazing card and Lizard benefits from that. But mainly it's been like, if you don't have Jeff, right? A lot of people don't have Jeff and you're playing like these Darkhawk decks with Shang-Chi, Zabu, Enchantress, then Lizard's a very viable option because you can literally play the Lizard and the Enchantress and not even worry about it.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's a 2/5. He's just a 2/5. Early game, you get the priority going, which is what's so fantastic about him. And then what he's always been good at, you kind of force your opponent to play in this lane to get him down, but then you have ways to get rid of it. And I even saw you do that in the Conquerors event. I love Lizard. I think he's definitely finding his place kind of back. And that could be because of Shuri and Zero kind of getting their way back, and Enchantress, he naturally kind of goes with that group and rises up with them. But I like the pick. Solid pick, Alex. Going to 3 cost, buddy. What is your meta pick?
My meta pick at 3 cost is going to be Killmonger. Killmonger feels like it has been absolutely just a slayer of beasts in the meta. Like it just takes down so many. It's going to, okay. Killmonger's going to drop off a bit because I think armor is going to be very important in the next coming season. Yep. There's an early pick for a riser.
That's my number 1 pick, so I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, spoilers. We agree there too. But yeah, so I do think Killmonger might take a step back at that point. But right now, like, dude, I'm seeing people like trying to play She-Not decks with the Sunspot just sitting there. I'm like, what do you think? Killmonger doesn't exist? Like, how is it possible that you think that I'm not going to play Killmonger?
The thing is, it's like, even with armor, he's still so insane because they have to play it in the lane they played the 1 cost. They have to draw it. They have to play it on turn 2. which is now a card or a turn that has a lot of significance, right? Like you can't just be playing armor willy-nilly. And on top of that, you also have, she doesn't flow with every deck, like bounce decks, for instance, and you have to make sure that, well, you can't play her in 2, because, well, maybe you can, but then you bounce her back. Killmonger is always just going to be such insane value. Again, him, Shang-Chi, they're kind of they control the meta in a lot of ways, just with their ability and power. Like the pick, for me, I did have to go with the Silver Surfer just because of all of the 3-cost OTAs and all of the 3-cost new cards that we got, including the new one coming out. But this is for this last season. How do you not say the Surfer? I know you would have if you didn't say Killmonger. I think we could do those interchangeably. What is your Alex pick for 3-cost?
Well, you just stole my Alex pick, damn it. What do you think I was going to say next?
I thought this was more the meta pick, but I get it, man. You got to go with both. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to reach into 3rd place now, if we're going to the bronze medal, it's going to be Venom. I mean, Destroy has had a resurgence in the meta, and nothing does what Venom does. And that +2 power that it got in that OTA has made a huge... In fact, that might be one of the most impactful OTA changes that we've seen in the longest time. Like, that OTA change rose Venom and rose Destroy completely. And so I do think that Venom has been a card... Like, you can't play Destroy without Venom right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like 3-cost, man, there's not a lot of bad ones. Like, there's so many winners in this field. Like, so much so that, like, things like even Captain America, they're just like, oh, they stand out a bit more, right? You know, I would say mine's probably Magic. I think the change that they did to her, you know what, man, it's just cool. I get, like, there's a lot of things that counteract this with Legion, but it just made there feel like there's a whole nother type of deck and play style, and or just more fun combos and games and interactions and location disruptions. Less RNG. I love it. I think the Magic change was my favorite OTA we've had yet, just because of what it reintroduced into Snap. So this is my cozy pick of a card here. Going into 4-cost, Alex, I think we could both agree on it, but the meta pick?
It's Darkhawk.
How do you not
say it? It has to
be.
Yeah. It's always going to be Darkhawk. I mean, it's just... It does so many amazing things, like the natural disruption that the Darkhawk style deck, like that package provides with the Korg, the Rock Slide, I think is good. It's notable. It works so well in multiple different versions of those types of decks. Like you have the Stature Black Bolt version, you have the more meta version now with Legion and etc. that you saw at the Conquerors event. But overall, it goes vertical. It feels fair because it is susceptible to both Shang-Chi and Enchantress, which is why a lot of decks are running both now with Zabu. But like, honestly, like this card, oh my gosh. I know I've said this before, but there was a wise man named Cozy Snap that once said, if you had bought Darkhawk on day 1 for 6,000 tokens, the best 6,000 tokens you've ever spent. And that's after he's already been nerfed. This card has been remarkable for months and months, and it still remains so.
Besides Strong Guy, what is your kind of fun pick?
Besides Strong Guy, okay, if you're going to make me go fun, I know what, I'm going to say Shuri. Honestly, Shuri, I think is... No, that's too meta. No, I'm taking it back.
It was like,
no,
Surfer,
that's a
now
meta
Shuri,
pick.
you're really digging deep in the fun pick.
I know. Okay, hold on. Let's rewind that back. Okay, first of all, Shuri is good. I think it needs some respect. But my actual fun pick is Crystal. Because Crystal's been a card that I've been playing. It's way better than people think it is. Because in Ronin listen, I've been playing it with Ronin and with Double Dinosaur. You win-win. Like you literally, you draw into their hand, you get a buff. You draw into your hand, you get a buff. Oftentimes, like I just assume my opponent always has their cards anyway. Who cares? They always have their combo. Just make sure you have your combo. Do the thing that you're trying to do. I've been liking Crystal, honestly.
Is the Captain Marvel buff too soon for you to put her in there?
Yeah, I'm excluding Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I got to go with Mr. Negative. Just this was his season, right? Like this was the biggest season we saw with him for ages. Like since the early days of Snap. And I don't want to discount that. I think if Darkhawk wasn't in there, he would be my winner. Man, it's cool to have a bit more dependability for a super fun. I know he's not your favorite, bro, but say what you will. Like so satisfying. Obviously, the player base thinks so. He was by the largest margin I have ever seen of a played deck on stats, like 55,000 games played. Like it was some stupid stat line with Mr. Negative this season. So he's definitely a big winner on my side here. 5-cost, man. 5-cost always is tough. I think it's always tough, and I think we might have different answers here.
For me, I don't want to say it because I know it pisses people off, but it's Spider-Man. Spider-Man for me felt
I think
like
I think that's good. I think that's a good card.
it's good. That's the problem. It's good, but like that location lockdown, like it's been showing up in Surfer. Obviously, it's showing up in Thanos. It's showing up everywhere, and that ability to lock down a location is extremely disruptive. It's extremely powerful, and it's just I feel like the meta's been defined right now with lockdown. And at 5 cost, you have multiple lockdown cards, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to steal one just in case you want to say one of them. But you have these lockdown cards that are really impacting players' abilities to play. And Spider-Man is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I'm curious how Marvel fits in and solves that problem. Because if they just play that, then, Marvel can fly over there and help. It's funny. I still think his nerfs sucked. And I still think that he needs to have some other identity. The reason why he's being played over X in some cases is that you can obviously play a card in that lane too, right? Like, that's what's so nice about it. Yeah, dude, Legion is obviously the pick that I had. You're about to mention him as like the meta-defining card this month in the 5-cost slot. We saw it on Conqueror's event. The guy was in every single deck list. The swings in Conquest alone is just so massive. 8 power, who cares? That's enough, man. He's good enough to play on turn 6. There's ways that you can manipulate him. How do you not love Legion as a card, man? Great variance, cool play, good variance of play. I love him, man. He's exciting, and I'm glad he's a great addition to Marvel Snap.
I love him too. He was going to be my like Alex Fun pick, right? Because
Okay.
like even though he's competitive and capable, like I have loved playing this card. I don't think there's been a new release I've played as much as consistency as Legion. Like I've been playing this card nonstop. Like it's just I love it. It's such a great design. Kudos to Second Dinner for coming up with something legitimately creative that was honestly slept on in initial kind of reads of the card, right? So yeah, it's great. And if I'm going to go three deep into bronze again because we're talking about Legion, it's going to be Devil Dinosaur. I still love Devil Dinosaur. Like it's not in the greatest spot right now because of the prevalence of Shang-Chi and Enchantress. Like I don't think it's as competitive as it can be. But for me, it's a feel-good card. Like this is just me saying a feel-good card. It's Devil Dinosaur because Mirage came out. I do like Mirage too, and it naturally works there. It just lets me play. Like when I need to play a deck just for fun, I turn to the Devil Dinosaur Coulson style decks, and I just love Dino.
Yep. I think this season it was a close pick. Sarah, Iron Man both felt like cards I played a lot and I leaned on heavily. I'll probably give the edge to Sarah just because of the magic buff. It felt like I could play Sarah a lot more and even capitalize more off of them playing magic than them playing the magic themselves. I thought that was such a cool thing to be able to capitalize on. Sarah Miracle's on its way up. Obviously, Surfer, these style of decks. My bronze, like deep bronze medal though, as far as like a riser goes to Leech, man. This guy made his way back a little bit. And he's definitely an impact card in a combo-rich meta that we're in. So I think this is a cool... Listen, never would I thought I was toting his horn, but I would also say never did I think we needed Leech more in some of these greedy style of decks. He's not a fun card, but man, he's going to have his role of importance, no?
He was really fascinating in those Shinon decks because it kind of defended the magic because if like they're holding a Storm, then all of a sudden Storm gets zapped and then Storm can't do anything. And it was really neat from that perspective. And that's exactly what that card should do though. It should have that niche application where like it's not just a feel bad card you play anytime you want and destroy your opponent's ability to play their cards, which is what it was before.
Yep.
It's being played intelligently for a specific reason, and it's doing that job, which is really cool. I love that pick, Coach. That's very nice. Very good pick.
Thanks, buddy. 6 costs here. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. What do you say for the meta card pick?
You know what? I know there's going to be people that disagree, but for me, I mentioned it before. I think it's Chavez. I find myself adding Chavez to more decks. In my Zabu competitive base decks, I add Chavez back. I made cuts on other spots. It's crazy. Like in the tournament, I cut Luke Cage from the meta, Zabu-based deck to include Chavez because I wanted Zabu more often. I'll take the 4 or 5% more often all day of the week.
Yeah, here's the thing. When you have pro players only playing with Chavez, it's an obvious sign that it's a good card. You just want to do one thing well and be consistent. And like there's combo rich stuff and there's consistent. I didn't even like Luke Cage in that deck, by the way. I saw him all over. I'm like, I get it, the high Evo counter, but like you didn't need to have him. Chavez, the only time Chavez feels bad is when you're missing a card going into 6, and of course you can be like, oh, there's Chavez, but like you still have a 9-power play, right? So it's not like the worst thing in the world. I like the pick. I also feel like you're going to make up for the last Snapchat for getting Thanos, and I thought maybe you're going to mention him. That's fair enough. My pick is going to be She-Hulk. I think it was so cool, and you notice a lot of these go back to Magic, but to have like such a rise in a card in what She-Hulk fell massively from grace after the wave adjustment. Massively. And now you have a reason to play her again. You have a massive one at that, getting the big power slams. I would put this as my cozy card. I wanted to sneak in another card here. I would agree. Chavez feels good. Thanos feels good. All those cards feel pretty solid. I'm going to lead us into our fun picks here. Brother, have you joined the Tribunal train?
I have. I enjoy it. I think it's good.
It's so fun, dude. And dude, it wins. I want an Infinity Conquest with it. He wins. He's a win card.
Yeah, because people don't account for Living Tribunal. Like, it is probably one of the ultimate surprise cards right now where, like, no one's doing the math where I'm like, they might have Tribunal. Like, no one ever is thinking that at all. So it's really cool from that perspective. And, it's cool. I didn't think that the buff was going to do that much for him, but it did. It did. It lifted him just enough.
It's the lockdown meta we're in. Like, if it's a destroy meta next time, we're screwed because, like, I don't think he can get that high. But right now, people are just trying to cheat the lane, which means usually below 9 power, which means you can play him. But so this is his time if you want to play him. Yeah,
because what they're doing is they're throwing down the Profex on turn 4 after the ramp, and then they're just going super vertical in the other lane, right? And they're like, well, do they have Jeff? I don't know. But they're never going to account for the Living Tribunal, which trades the location they're giving up.
What is your last fun card to end the segment?
The fun card for me is going to be Infinite. Now, I know you're like, hey, Alex, come on. Infinite, really? Infinite? So with Magic being changed, I found myself more often being able to confidently skip turn 6. Well, why is that? Because I would play Magic on turn 3, and then I would Legion the Magic Limbo location. I'm like, well, you don't have like Scarlet Witch, Reality Stone and Storm in your deck, so I'm definitely going to turn 7 here, and that would allow me to confidently play the Infinite She-Hulk on turn 7. And you know what? Some people may not even realize this. Infinite actually got some VFX work done and actually has a new kind of like splash when he lands. He highlights when he's available to be played. And I just, it was fun for me being able to play Infinite again. This was a card I feel like I had not touched in a long time. I never played it. Maybe it got discarded by, Dracula or whatever. But for me, Infinite came back this season and it was great.
Takes you back to the good old days of Snap, right? I feel like for Infinite, the coolest thing, if you're not doing this, start doing it, guys. The reason why something like Psylocke is in these kind of decks is not just because of adding the extra energy. When you place Psylocke down on 4 and you skip 5, it's a full 6 power. Then you get a free She-Hulk and the Infinite play. Dude, it's so sweet. It is such a cool play to pull off. Finally being able to play both of those with the right amount of skip. Really cool stuff. I like the Infinite pick. It's fun that we both picked these kind of turn 7 cards with She-Hulk and the Infinite together. So good favorite cards this season, man. That was a spicy and fun list.
And Cozy, that's going to bring us to our next point of discussion, which is the Marvel Snap development roadmap. Now, Marvel Snap has released a new roadmap, which is going to feature essentially what's coming soon, what's in development, and what's in concept for the game going forward. Now, I love that they do this, and what they have listed here for those that are listening onto our audio, we have the PC launch coming soon, we have Twitch drops coming soon, we have the card upgrade improvements, seasonal audio, conquest polish, the infinite rank revamp, and then we have global matchmaking phase 1. Now, these are all very significant changes for Marvel Snap. Let's start with the coming soon here. Cozy, with regards to coming soon, what is the one that really stands out to you as the one that you are most looking forward to?
Yeah, so I feel like this roadmap may not be like the most exciting, maybe for like the casual player, but I love how it says Conquest Polish, because this to me was like the polish roadmap, right? Like, we're getting a lot of things that now that they can finally move on from hopefully getting card acquisition right in the PC launch. Bro, I don't know if you know this. They have been putting so much of their VFX teams towards this PC launch. I'm just glad it's out, because now we're going to be able to have like kind of more of that fun VFX changes come into the game again with, like so much so that we didn't get Mirage or Legion with an animation. And I think that's because they're just full guns blazing. So obviously PC launch is absolutely massive. A lot of big W's here. A couple of like, I said this before, I think Conquest Polish could have been a bit more towards the reward side, just a tad. And replayability. I wanted to see the Infinity Conquest get a bit more love. I think you had a little bit of staleness as far as avatars go this season, and it's only going to snowball. So I want to see more of that. But dude, this is a good list. I'm excited.
For me, the thing that really stands out is the PC launch. Like I've been talking about this for months and months. Like I feel like we can go one of the original Snapchats. I'm like, the thing I'm most excited about, widescreen UI, PC launch. Like that stuff is huge. It's huge. And I think they're going to nail it because, I mean, even during the Conquerors event, Mr. Ben Brode was talking about how it's coming along and like his impressions of it, they love it. They love it internally.
Yeah, he said so much so he didn't want to say it. You could tell. Did you notice? He goes, it was like it was meant. It was like it's really good for the game. Like he wanted to say it was like it was meant to always be this way, but obviously I don't think he like can or wanted to say that per se, right? Bro, that I'm so glad we waited. And the thing with how Marvel Snap works is I feel like they launch stuff and then they build upon it, kind of like Conquest. So even as this first rendition, I don't even think it's going to be like the final product. I think we're going to continue to build up on like little features for it over time. And I saw so many comments on this. I want to address it. It being on Steam now, guys, it doesn't mean it's PC. It is pretty much just your phone that you're playing on a computer monitor. That's really all it is at the current moment.
Yeah, and they didn't advertise the launch on PC at all. It was never like on the Steam like kind of front page. They kind of just silently launched onto the PC marketplace into early access. Like, and if they get the proper widescreen UI and they're ready to go and it's a 1.0 launch, like I guarantee, like I'm not gonna say I guarantee, but they're going to be advertising. There's going to be a big push, and that's why they're trying to correct like the collection-based system. They're trying to do all these small things to improve the player experience for the new influx of players that'll be coming in on this massive PC launch. And this is by far the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah, I kind of wish, and listen, there's always going to be backlash on this. I get it because you didn't get it, but they do, whatever. They need to come up with something to move the pace along for newer players. Like, they need to have that, even though the rest of everyone else didn't get to do that. Like, there needs to be something there that kind of accelerates it. Maybe when you get to pool 3, have the natural pool 1 and 2 learning curves. But for pool 3, you need to have something that helps out there. And I was wishing that was in this because there is going to be a large influx of new players because of PC launch. I think their marketing is going to be wild. I think they're going to really push for what is the second launch of the game, if you will. It's funny, man. I keep thinking about the battles, and I said this to Snaps or Dexter. It's, for me, man, the collection screen here, whether they do like a cover flow or like you can really expand your cards, like, man, the art and visual do so well with this, so I think this is going to just be tenfold of what it is now. It has me pumped.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the visual style of Marvel Snap is so good. It's a damn shame that we've been playing this game in a way that is like on PC and it's like, it doesn't showcase anything. It doesn't do it justice. And my phone sucks. My phone is terrible. And so like, it doesn't look good on my phone. I got to play it on like low settings and stuff. And it's trust me. So like, I'm actually super, super pumped for this PC launch. I'm actually super pumped about something else, Cozy.
What is it?
And I think this is really cool that Marvel Snap's doing this. I'm going to call this the Twitch drops is actually huge. This is really cool. And I mean, it kind of stems from the Conquerors event as well. I'm excited to see Marvel Snap, Second Dinner, and, and of course others like reaching out to do much more community-centric events, somewhat just like live stream events, things along those lines. And Twitch drops is a huge part of that. And Cozy, I think there's a couple places that you just might be able to get your Twitch drops.
Where would that might be? It would be the Alex Coccia stream, my friend. Yeah, listen, go check out Alex Coccia's stream, and if you haven't, guys, he's even more of a ball of energy than here, and I love it. I have to say this, man, and I've seen it in other games. How cool would it be is like maybe they have like 10 variants, and they kind of pass them throughout the streamers, right? So like if you watch Alex Coccia, you can get the Chavez one, or if you get whatever, like there's a lot because of the way variants work, and there's billions of them to give out. That's where I want to see them hone in. Like, I don't want it to be like 250 credits if you watch your favorite streamer. No, I want there to be this cool, like, something that identifies with the streamer. I don't know. There's a lot of room for improvement here, man, for sure.
That's an amazing idea, but not what I expected you to say. Cozy, damn it, come on now. Where is a place that people are going to be able to go to get Twitch drops, my friend? We need a URL. We need a Twitch streamer who might not be streaming right now, who's going to be streaming in the near future. Cozy, where can people go to get some Twitch drops?
Listen, Cozy Gamer is what I go on Twitch because of the Conquerors event. It just like reignited. Listen, there was a mixture between, if you guys don't know where I came from before Snap, I used to stream every day, and it was my favorite form of content. And then my baby came, and I realized I had to pick one or the other. And the way I'll be streaming moving forward is I'll be doing kind of 1, maybe 2 massive streams a week where I want to do like events and different things like that. And so kind of what you saw for Conquerors, but to carry us throughout the year. And so that will be coming very, very soon. And at this point, I feel like I've trademarked the very soon thing, but you'll expect it in the weeks to come. And it's going to start off with a really cool potential tournament. We're going to have to see, buddy. But I'm just excited to get back into connecting with the community. And heck, man, we can even do Snapchats live. That would be sick.
You heard it here first. Cozy Gamer back in the live streaming game. Down in the description below, I'm demanding that you go down there and you give Cozy Snap a follow on Twitch TV. And while you're there, you can follow me too. But
nah, dude, go check
Cozy
out.
more. We gotta like, there has to be so many follows on Cozy Gamer's Twitch that like you cannot change your mind. You're gonna be like, no, like 100,000 people just followed me on Twitch TV. We gotta go.
Dude, I'm just excited. You know what I am? I'm so excited to connect with people more and just like talk about, I don't know, why animals are great and to do tier lists like right after a snap to go on that next day and do an animal tier list with the community and be like, let's put Alex Coccia and his squirrel opinions to shame. And then they end up liking squirrels and then I look like the idiot. Like that's what I'm excited for, buddy. Speaking of, let's go to the in development section. I don't know why I would say speaking of, but you get it. We have prestige level. We have spotlight cash improvements, collectible emotes, personalized shop, smart decks, new infinite splits, and ultimate variant evolution. Alex, what gets you pumped here?
Honestly, the thing for me that gets me really pumped is the prestige level. I buy a lot of variants. I love the cosmetics in this game. And the idea that like, hey, you unlocked a season pass pixel, that felt bad. But you know what? You just unlocked this tier of whatever. We don't even know what the prestige level is going to look like. But that idea of like, you know, the variants and stuff that you're getting throughout your collection is going to help you get like more types of variant splits or more types of borders or whatever it happens to be. I think is really cool. I think that's awesome because I think that a major part of this game is the collection system. Yes, we play competitively. Yes, we play to win. Listen, my son will look at my collection and just scroll through my cards and be like, oh, look at Venom. And he loves the art. The art is so cool. The collection is so cool. So I really like the prestige level idea here, and I'd like to see it be implemented.
Yeah, listen, in concept has some really cool things to talk about, so I do want to go there, but I would say this just feels like a great way to add more player expression, right? Like the ultimate variants, not a lot of people have them, but to have like Thor with like red lightning or whatever they said, or to have these new emotes in here or whatever that might be, I feel like it's just cool to embrace the art more in Snap and to see that. Obviously, more rewards the better with the prestige level system too, so great to see that these pixel variants can be turned into something a little bit more important per se. Now, before in concept though, because this is like cool because it's like the cosmetic express yourself. Spotlight cash improvements. To me, it felt a lot like the polish to Conquest, right? Where it's like, okay, I see what you're doing, but not quite. The gold ticket thing, I get it that's definitely going to be like, it's going to upset people in some ways. If they would just add to the reward shop and incentivize the play a little bit more in a Conquest and then have tokens, gold, or whatever purchasable in Conquest, then you have an ecosystem that really makes sense, right? Right now, we're already sitting on so many medals and they just boosted them up, right? So it's like, okay, gee, great. I get more boosters from this, but now you can also buy boosters, which they mentioned in here. So like that's where the disconnect is. 100 tokens, good on that. I'm fine with it, right? Here's the thing though, bro. This is in development. The smart decks have been in here for like almost coming on a year. So I think the player feedback is important here. When we say, hey guys, let's get rewards or let's change something to really make this worth the update. And then we can nip it in the bud and be done with card acquisition stuff, you know?
I agree. My first impression of the change was that I like Conquest. I love it. It's my favorite mode, so the gold tickets don't bother me, but I get a lot of gold tickets just playing the game, right? And I think that the average player is not going to benefit as much. If the rewards matched the idea of like getting the ticket itself, like if there were tokens that perfect, add tokens to the shop, add the gold to the shop, make the tokens repurchasable, even if they're kind of expensive, like just make it so that the ecosystem makes sense. And then all of a sudden, like it works much better than it does now. But, at least they're listening. At least they're listening, and at least it's a first step towards trying to improve the collection-based system, but I don't think the gold tickets are the answer.
I think this is going to change. I do think it's going to... Imagine if they even did 250 or heck 500 collector tokens with an Infinity Conquest, right? If you win that, because then the gold ticket makes sense because you win the gold ticket to get more Infinity tickets to try to beat that, right? It would only be for the top, so maybe you need to adjust that. Overall, I just think they need to make the ecosystem work more. If you're going to advertise yourself as a 3-minute game too, which I think maybe they just need to move away from that advertisement because Conquest is, I get why they do it. It is the core to Snap per se, right? But Conquest is where it's all at right now. And if you're gearing people towards that, then it can feel a bit weird if your rewards are towards a mode that isn't 3 minutes, right? Ladder needs a little bit of a refresh too in some of that sense. But yeah, overall, I like that they're targeting it. I'm ready to move on from card acquisition, and I hope that they can really get this right so we can be happy. Even then, people are going to find ways to complain. But, I think that there's right steps. Want to continue to see it, and just don't be so cautious on rewarding people, man. I think that we can try to do it a little bit easier, finding something that works for everybody. But the in-concept section, boy, oh boy, Alex, let's try to talk about them quick because they're all in theory, but let's bring it up.
So in concept, we have guilds and social systems, mythic variants, PC controller support, new game mode, and season journey improvements. I think that the social systems are pretty important in Marvel Snap, like guilds and stuff. Like, I mean, we both have communities in Marvel Snap. I would love to be able to be working towards like PvE style reward systems in guilds and systems like along those lines. So I'm looking forward to that specifically. The one thing I will say, I think I was kind of hoping a new game mode was a little closer in development. Namely, like for me, I feel like it's the draft-based game mode that I am most looking forward to. I imagine they have to be working on something along those lines. Cozy, what is kind of the thing that stands out for you here that you're most interested in?
Yeah, okay, so I like what you said about, I have a different view on the social system aspect because it's like, I don't want this to be an RPG. I don't want this to be a game that it's not. Like, I don't need to fight Thanos with my buddy. That's not what Snap is to me. I just simply want to be able to go to Alex Coccia on my friend list, see what decks you're playing, go to your cards and look at the variants you're using. Like, that ecosphere is what I think Snap is missing in that sense. Like, oh, Alex is in rank 84. He just won Conquest, and these are the variants he just pulled, and these are his 5 favorite cards. That kind of stuff in-game would be awesome. It'd be so cool to see, and maybe even like you could do a small sense of guilds of like if everybody logs in and does X, everybody in the guild gets 250 collector tokens. That kind of stuff is cool to encourage like social aspect stuff of it. The new game mode. Here's the thing. I think that it won't take as long as Conquest did to build from the ground up per se, because of what Conquest was to the game and where they were and hiring and all that stuff with Snap blowing up. If I were to guess, if I was a betting man, December. I think it's going to come out around Christmas. And I think that's
really,
yeah. I could be way off. It could be January, February, March, but I feel like that's when it's going to come, or they're going to revamp the general ladder per se. We got to see what PC does to the game. I think that's really going to be integral. Draft mode is what I would expect to come. And if it's not that, I was saying even the 2v2 thing and they redefine the playing a Snap, especially if they do like 2v2 and guilds and social systems, and they make it much more of like this like multiplayer ecosphere would be kind of cool. But yeah, listen, controller support, they can put PC all they want in front of there, man. But if you put this out on Xbox Game Pass and the PlayStation and naturally have that work, I think the PC controller support is a way to just see how it feels, and then in January, we get a roadmap that says Xbox and PS4, compatibility. I'm going to go wild, bro. That opens up to millions of more people. And honestly, just takes away from like it's a mobile game, right? Then you have a game that's designed. Honestly, they're out. Now it's PC or mobile. If you had console, PC, and mobile, you have two things going against the mobile, right? And it's like more of a game than one or the other. So all that exciting. Everything on this list is cool outside of like, the only thing I want to see with mythic variants, I just don't want to see another way that it's like currency to give them money. Give me a 1 in 1,000 chance to pull one of these from my cash. I don't care how big the chance is. I just want a mirage that nobody has. Or I want to, you know what I mean? There's enough art to go around. I think it's cool if they did it that way rather than like, it's 10,000 tokens,
I don't know how to articulate this, but when I read this original kind of update, I kind of got a little sad when I read mythic variants. And I again, I don't know how to say this, but I was kind of hoping that ultimate variants were going to be mythic variants because they're 5,000 tokens. They're insanely expensive. And I was like kind of worried. I'm like, if ultimate is not mythic and you're spending 5,000 collector's tokens on them, how expensive are these mythic variants going to be? Like, what I kind of got concerned for a second on, like, what is the acquisition of the mythic variant? What is the separation between mythic and ultimate? And they kind of said, like, ultimate's going to get some love too, where you're going to get some added ability.
They're going to get big love, dude. Like new voice lines and ways of interacting. I just don't want to, I don't know how they're going to introduce these. So I don't know. Like, what if these are in every season pass now? You know what I mean? And there's one mythic. I think ultimate is pigeonholed into the token shop, whereas mythic won't be.
Interesting. I would have almost wondered if they would have just combined the two. And like your Iron Man, your ultimate Iron Man now just levels up and it becomes a mythic variant once you hit like a certain, like I thought that's what it was going to be. And so like I was like, oh man, we're going to have another type of variant. Like it's just I don't know, like there might be some form of exhaustion, and I'm concerned with how they get acquired. Like you're right, it cannot just be 10,000 tokens. If it's just 10,000 tokens, there's going to be flames and pitchforks. You know what I mean? It can't be that.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to get wild up over things I can't control. I get what you're saying. My thing I keep going back on is I've been looking at the smart decks now for coming on a year. I think those are in the in-concept section, right? So, like, there could be so far out. They might just be in, like, slipping in. Hey, first edition badges have been how long now? They might just be throwing a breadcrumb to see how we react, right? And, like, if we're like, screw this, or if the ultimate variants are so banger because they've got Thor making red lightning come all over or whatever, then I think they either scrap it or they figure it out altogether. Yeah, I'm okay with like a tier system, but it's how we got to see how the game develops. I don't like, if it's another just like pure money thing, it's like, well, that's a bummer. But I don't know how you top custom animation and voice lines, right? So I don't know. But again, cool polish. Let's hope new game modes at the top of that. Maybe social systems right after that.
And picking your own border. I'm just gonna say I was so sad when picking your own border wasn't there, because there's so many cards I want to upgrade that I can't upgrade because of the border situation. But Cozy, that's gonna bring us to our next topic, and that is cards on the rise, cards on the fall. And listen, the meta is wild, and August is going to be absolutely insane. So we're going to be talking about a couple cards here that we think are going to be rising, a couple of them are going to be falling. Cozy, on the rise, I'm going to go and say,
I thought you were going to pass it to me.
One here.
I thought you were going to pass it to me. I think Armor's on the rise, by the way, everybody.
Damn it, Cozy,
Armor seems like a great card. This is the card we both had written down first, right? Like,
I know.
This is such an obvious card. You go, I'll give you you go and talk first.
It's going to be such a natural synergy to not only like to protect your one drops and still decks that are still meaningful, like, you know, Nebula, and like there's so many good one drops. And of course, with the magic style play, you have Sunspots coming, having a resurgence, but it also counters what's going to be like Lady Deathstrike. It's going to counter X-23. It's going to counter Destroy. So important. It's going to come out less as a defensive card. It's going to be offensive as well, which I think is going to be really important.
Yeah, not only get play more, it's going to skyrocket, like legit skyrocket in play, because you have a whole season dedicated to destroying stuff outside of Silver Samurai. The whole season is dedicated, right? Alioth too, so you can might as well just go right into September with this. Armor's play is going to near triple for good reason. Playing this on top of an immediate shard, playing this immediately on top of really anything, really legit anything, this armor is going to get so much value that it's going to be the card that is just everywhere. And then I think we can both kind of give a small nod to Cosmo, who's also a more expensive option in that, but he's going to do the same kind of thing to give you another lane per se, right, of protecting. And he's already been on the rise, but I think he's going to go up more as well.
The next card for me is going to be the one that I left off of the cards that were my favorite of the season. It's going to be Captain Marvel. I think you're going to see a whole lot of Captain Marvel. It's already on the rise. I think it's going to continue rising. I don't think this card gets nerfed. I think the power is fair. I think the effect is strong. And you're going to see a lot more Marvel in August.
Yeah, it's funny. I think we could talk about a lot of the stuff we said in the season pass stuff earlier, breaking that down. I think it's just a bunch of these power boosters, right? Like Hulkbuster's naturally going to go up a bit more just because of just a good stat line working with the Deadpool. Deadpool has already been really, really kind of on the rise a bit with these destroyed decks. He's not a meme or fun card anymore. He's actually making his spot known with X-23 being able to play him more. Naturally, that means things like Forge. I think Forge, even though he's not going to be like the best card in the game, I think that Forge now has a spot where he's not just... He doesn't feel like a useless card in the deck. I think that he's going to have a bit more play overall because of this Deadpool, Lady Deathstrike, Dakin kind of synergy going on. So it's interesting how a lot of these correlations go hand in hand. I think Calling Wing, we could say as well. Anything outside of the season pass that you think is going to go up?
I think Collector. And I think you're starting to see it already. I think Collector is beginning to rise in value. It was recently a 2-1. It got buffed to a 2-2. Kind of got off to a slow start. And then now suddenly over the last few weeks, especially with the Bounce and Kitty Pride iteration of Collector, you're starting to see a big pickup of Collector. I think that it works wonderfully with the Dakin. You're going to see Collector-based decks, and Destroy loves it too, especially with the Swarm. Like, there's so many natural synergies here, and I think Collector's going to have a run.
Like it a lot. You know what, man? We saw a lot of this during the bounce meta. I think he's coming right back. Shadow King. It's good to know that the buff that Dakin is going to get, Dak and Dakin, I love switching those up, is not going to help his base power. It's a power add-on, right? Who destroys power add-ons, buddy? Shadow King. Love what he can do. And not only that, man, Carnage, Venom, absolutely wrecks those guys too. The Nova Killmonger bombs. He's going to set them all back to their original base power. I think he's going to be a big riser again, and it's so cool to see him fit into a large majority of the meta now that we have these kind of base power things going up.
And the last two I'll leave you with for terms of risers. I do think that Nimrod is going to be a riser here because I think Destroy is just going to be fantastic. I think X23 is going to allow Nimrod to come out earlier. I think there's going to be a lot more synergistic things happening with Destroy in general. And the final one for me is Moon Girl. I think that Moon Girl is also a winner here because just naturally with Dakin, I think there's going to be a lot of synergy. I think that the discard style Swarm and then I just think Moon Girl is going to have an interesting role to play in the upcoming meta. And ultimately, these are all cards that are rising. And it's good to see because some of these cards have been somewhat irrelevant for some time.
Yep, I would say Stature in the same vein, I would probably include in there just because of a new way to discard. You're going to just see more of them altogether. And this kind of new disruption style with the Moon Knight, Stature, Black Bolt, kind of chaos. It's going to be cool to see all this stuff together and the massive disruption of playing like Iceman, Spider-Ham, Moon Knight. Yeah, you go into Absorbing Man, maybe the Silver Samurai, maybe Black Bolt. All of a sudden, you've ruined their hand, right? At the cost of some power, but some cool interactions, man. So really cool season to come, buddy, and I'm beyond excited. Now, quickly shifting over to the fallers before we kind of wrap this up, Alex. It's not really, it's the one cost as a whole because of the Killmonger play going way up. Because when you have a season pass card, right, everybody is going to get this access to this card. And everybody is going to get rid of these shards as much as possible. So I do think we're going to see a tad bit less of things like maybe Kitty Pride or maybe Sunspot Nebula. Or of the Sunspot Nebulas, the ones that sit on the board longer. Quickly, I do want to say also Echo with the Rise of Armor. This could sneak in there to counteract what you just played down. I saw her, so I had to say it. What are some fallers that you have?
The major faller for me right now is one of them is going to be Miles Morales. It's unfortunate, but Miles Morales has been getting cut from a lot of decks that Morales was traditionally in. Like, it's being cut from the Stature-based decks with, Legion and with, Darkhawk Zabu. It's unfortunate to see that because, we need stats, we need power, but when you have something like the Dakin and the Marmosa Shard, you're suddenly in a situation where, you don't need to try to set up a move condition for Morales. So Morales has been getting cut. I'm going to just say as well, with the prevalence of the Mirage, Maria Hill's a huge faller too. Maria Hill had already fallen way down, but now Maria Hill, Cable, they feel completely useless with Mirage in the game. Mirage, I feel like, as we talked about before, is a damn good card. And for fallers, it's a shame, but Maria Hill, Cable, they just feel completely unplayable. It's just the game is in such a weird spot right now. And I think the ultimate loser, unfortunately, as you said, is going to be the one drops because Killmonger is going to be all over the place. It's going to be wiping out, everyone for that Miramasa Shard. But at the same time, Killmonger's going to have to deal with a lot of armor. So, it's going to be a really wild meta, and I'm absolutely looking forward to it. In fact, guys, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us here today. It's an absolutely fantastic time on the Snapchat. As always, we appreciate your support. Hitting the like button is the best way you can support both my content and Cozy's content as well. As we both discussed, down below, you can follow us on Twitch TV so you can get those Twitch drops, both Cozy and myself. And we look forward to seeing you live on Twitch. And we thank you so much for all your support. And we'll see you on that next Snapchat episode.